This video is brought to you by my patrons and by viewers like you. Oh no. Greetings, groovy people! Welcome to Blue Dragon Art. I'm the self-proclaimed Blue Dragon. It's still January, so in the spirit of getting organized and trying to reduce the amount of anxiety that I have over the myriad projects that I'm working on, I'm trying to set a schedule for myself to trial run and see if this helps me keep on track and lower a lot of my anxiety about, getting things done. I have a lot of projects that I work on. I work on my free, not safe for work, post-apocalyptic magical girl fantasy, Dark Horse, and I work on a psychedelic 60s space adventure, Cool World. I also do some flatting work. I also am taking a class this year, an in-person class. I have another class that I'm putting on hold that's online until I'm finished with the in-person class, and other things that you all don't care about. So the point of this video is, one, to help me kind of gauge how much this schedule helps me throughout the year, and to two, inspire those of you or give ideas to those of you who are like me in personality and require a lot of structure, or at least a little bit of structure. Every single job I've ever had in my life, pretty much, has required me to follow some type of routine or schedule. And that's including being a waitress, being a cleaning technician or janitor. I was a janitor for years when I moved up to Northern Illinois. When I was a secretary to NIU, there were things that I had to follow on a schedule. And most importantly, for an entire 10-year span of my life, I worked at the Lincoln Home National Historic Site. Most of that was as a park ranger, giving tours. The other part was as a living history interpreter, giving tours and doing speeches and demonstrations. Everything had to be done on a specific schedule. So whenever I left the public workspace or the private and public workspace, all of a sudden I was thrust into having to be my own boss. Now, as was the case, especially when I was a janitor, I had more control over my schedule. There were things that they wanted done at the various buildings that I cleaned on specific days of the week, but I also was able to figure things out and kind of tweak the schedule to help me later on in the week, if that makes sense. And when I was a secretary, there were definite things that I had to do, but I was able to tailor my schedule to accommodate random things that came up and stuff that I needed to get done and make it my own. But there was always a skeleton of a schedule and things that I knew were revolving, that other people had experience with laying that work down, what was needed to be done. But I was able to kind of build onto it myself. As a freelance artist, doing this all myself as my own boss, I really had to start from scratch. And it's taken me years, but last year in particular, I was starting to get really stressed out, probably because we had 3 Comic Fury zines. It's another project that I work on. We're only going to have 2 this year, and we're trying something different. But at the same time, these are very labor-intensive projects, not just on the side of the artist, but on the side of the team working on it, us, the Comic Fury zine team, in addition to my own stuff. So I'm trying to get organized and try out having a schedule because of my personality type, because this has been drilled into me my entire life. I want to see if giving myself a little bit more structure will help reduce my anxiety. So that's what this video is, and if you are of a similar personality type and you want to try this out, I'm going to have a link down in the description to an empty schedule that you can fill in the way you want, so that you can put in your own blocks of time, your full-time job or whatever you're doing. The thing to remember about this schedule is that you are not married to it. You can leave, you can walk away from it at any time, and that's something that I'm going to keep in my own mind. I'm trial running this. I'm going to see how it goes. And if it turns out that it's not working for me, in my opinion, doing the same thing and expecting a different result is insanity. So I will abandon this schedule. But for now, I'm actually trial running it. I'm going to give it a serious go. And thus far, I think it's been helping me out a bit. But what I'm going to do here is kind of talk about the schedule. In the background, when I'm not talking about the schedule, you're going to see me working on a cool world page, either sketching, inking, or whatnot. I don't remember what I have in the background. But this is like my 7th time recording this, so I'm trying to pare down from like an hour to 55 minutes to 45 minutes. I kept having shit fuck up on me, so I decided to re-record it, even though I was going to try to cobble some things together, and I'm like, no, you know what, let's just start fresh again. 7 is my lucky number, so this is the time. This is go time. This is the one that's going to work. Okay, so on this schedule, this is actually a schedule that my partner put together in October of 2024 when he noticed that I was starting to get super fucking stressed out by all the projects and trying to mentally juggle what I had to do in my head, mentally juggle when they needed to be done. Very anxious about that kind of thing. So he put together the schedule from like my word of mouth and from his observation of when I do stuff. And then he gave me access to it so that I could tailor it to what I actually do whenever I had time. So the new schedule for 2025, whereas he only had 4 categories of different colored blocks, I have 6 categories, and those are the salmon-colored chair time, the red chores, or domestic labor, but I didn't want to put domestic labor in there because it was too long. Green is away time. Yellow is art desk, or essentially time away from the screen. Blue is computer time, or time in front of the screen. And then purple is leisure time. Something that I think is very important is that if you do this schedule, please, I mean, this is my suggestion. You know yourself better than I do, but I know that it's very important for me to have leisure time and relaxation time. I don't think that's like some miraculous revelation for me to say that. I also have like times where I have like physical activity. The most type of physical activity that I enjoy is walking. I've tried exercises. I've tried all kinds of shit. I might try yoga in the future, but for the most part, I've noticed that what sticks with me is just getting out of the fucking house and walking, or getting out and getting fresh air if you're someone who, if you don't have walking capabilities, I think you should still get out if you can and get a little bit of fresh air or open a window or something so that you can kind of free yourself from a little bit of stale, recirculated air and get some fresh air into your house and into your body. But relaxation time should not be overlooked, in my opinion. I think that's a recipe for disaster. I don't know how Hayao Miyazaki does it. I think he does have some relaxation time in between like the manic bits, but I just think that for me personally and for a lot of people, I think it's good to make sure that you include that in your schedule. And the other thing that I would suggest against is micromanaging yourself. Aside from like very specific tasks, most of these categories, when I have them written on my table, they're very broad in scope, where I have a couple different things that I can kind of switch around and do depending on whatever my mood is. Because I don't know about you all, but I don't like to be micromanaged, so I figure you don't want to micromanage yourself either. Okay, so those are the categories. We have on the x-axis the hours of the day, the time blocks that I've chosen for myself. And then the y-axis, I mean, this isn't an axis, I'm using the wrong terminology. I guess I should be saying the rows are the hours of the day, and then the columns are the days of the week. So I've got on here, the salmon colored blocks are throughout the entire week, and it's a combination of waking up and having coffee, reading, checking my email, having breakfast on the days where I'm going to be leaving the house or I have shit to do, which is usually the days that I'm leaving the house. We call that the zombie hour. That's where I'm waking up. That's my special time that people know, and by people I mean my partner, he knows to leave me the fuck alone because I will literally growl in the morning. I'm just not awake, I'm not functioning. So that's my me time to wake up. Sometimes I'll read a book, sometimes I'll do email. I'm always drinking my coffee. Sometimes I'm having breakfast. It just depends on what's going on that day. The next step we're going to look at, I'm not going to look at Sunday. I'm going to start with Monday because to me that's the beginning of the week. I consider Sunday to still be part of the weekend, and I might move that column to after Saturday at some point when I'm not feeling lazy. But Monday is Black Monday for me that's laundry day. It's just a habit that I've fallen into, and I like to do one load of laundry on Monday every week. Takes the stress out of doing too much work. I'll start the laundry in the morning, and then I get directly into work on like my physical art. Monday is a physical art day because I tend to post things at the end of the week on Friday for both Dark Horse and Cool World. So that's a physical art day that I've got my butt at the desk, and I am away from digital distractions. Because I work in analog, because I work in traditional medium, I've had to and this is true for people who do digital art too, but I've had to train myself to get the fuck off the computer and not be distracted by social media, by chats, by anything like that. Checking the news. Oh my god, checking the news. I have to get away from that. I mean, I keep in the know about things, but I have to get away from that. So what I'll do is I'll put on a music list on the computer next to me, because my desk is right next to my computer desk. And I'll either have lo-fi, or I'll have I listen to the JoJo's themes, or I'll put on a playlist. I'll listen to Ginger Root or something relaxing, city pop, or anything. It doesn't matter. Sometimes I'll have my favorites list on from my personal account, which is just everything that I listen to. It gives my partner whiplash because it'll have a classical operatic thing, and then it'll have Black Sabbath or something on next, or it'll have The Format, and then it'll have Joe Walsh or something, so it's all just a bunch of shit mixed together, but it's stuff that I like so that I'm not distracted and I'm not getting up to change the music. Or more often than not, I found lately that I've been listening to the public jazz station. We've been doing that for a couple years, ever since we moved to Portland. Or ever since we moved to Oregon, I should say. Or kdhx.org. I still love kdhx.org. You can listen to their shows live on their website, or you can listen to past shows. I really like Night Grooves with Orlandez. I really like a lot of their other shows. They're real live DJs, and it's public radio, so there's no commercials. Little to no commercials. There's the sponsors, but you know how public radio is. It's not nearly as invasive and annoying and distracting as regular radio. But if you like regular radio, you can also put that on in the background. But the point is, I'm forcing myself away from distractions so that I can get my work done. And that's what my Monday looks like. I finish the day up with dishes and stuff. And then I have relaxation, which is a myriad of things. I could play video games. I could watch YouTube videos. I could watch Netflix or Nebula. Or read. Actually, quite often, I read in the evenings now, too. Depending on if I want to be turned off from fucking digital shit or not. Because it is super fucking stressful, in my opinion. Tuesday, I have a morning appointment every other Tuesday, or sometimes 2 weeks in a row, depending on, I'll just be open. I see a therapist, so depending on what I need, or what the therapist thinks I need, usually we meet bi-weekly. Is bi-weekly right? Every other week. I don't remember. Oh my god. Every other week is when we meet. And on those days, that's my away time. I will use that time after the therapist, because that's only an hour, right? There's a local coffee shop that's super cheap. The coffee is really fucking cheap, y'all. I get the size small, and they let you have free refills. And if I'm feeling hungry, I will get a bagel there and just do my lunch while I'm out. They have homemade bagels there. They make the bagels in the shop, or at least locally. And then they oftentimes will have they have a lot of vegan options. So if I want to get more stuff on it, or if I just want hummus, or if I just want tofu cream cheese, then I'll get that. But I use that time to do continued education, because again, when I'm inside the house, it's so easy to be distracted by the domestic work that needs to be done in the household, that if I'm physically out of that space, then I will focus on what I'm reading. So right now I've been reading Optic Nerve, or the responsive, it's talking about the responsive eye, the optical artwork, the op art, is that what they called it? Of the 1960s. So I've almost gotten this book done. I've had it checked out for months now, since the summer, or maybe the fall of last year. I've set myself a goal of finishing it. By the time I have this video come out, I will have finished it. I divided it up in a week, and I've been trying to finish the book. But when I'm at home, I oftentimes have distractions. So if I'm out anyway, if I'm on the bus, I don't get sick when I read. I know that's not the case for a lot of people, but I don't get car sick. So I'll read on the bus, I'll read at the coffee shop, And in the evenings, I will sometimes like read in my chair, or I'll go out to the table and do some reading. But Tuesday mornings, when I don't have appointments, then I just use that as like a physical art day, or I'll get home, I'll make my lunch, and then I'll do some reading for a little bit, and then I'll get to the desk. That's what I'm talking about, like being flexible, because I don't leave the house every single Tuesday. It's just some Tuesdays that I'm out. And it's random. Quite often I'll like have an appointment canceled if something's going on in my therapist's life, or if something's going on in my life. I'm not someone who really needs to be checked in with regularly, so that gives me and her a little bit more flexibility. But yeah, and then afterwards on Tuesdays, I have more physical art time. And also video work, which technically would be blue, because I would be editing and working on things on the computer, but I didn't want to like split the cell and color them separately. I just didn't feel like that was necessary, since my schedule is like 2 videos a month now. And then I have this thing where like I do meal planning. If you watch the channel, if you watch any of my vlogs, you probably already know that I meal plan. But especially this year, it's going to be important if inflation becomes, I mean, it's already gotten bad, inflation has. And people are going to argue with me on this, and I really don't care if you argue, because I know what's been true in my life. Cooking from home is, if you have the capability and the time, it is cheaper than buying pre-made stuff, and definitely cheaper than going out to eat. So I do the meal planning, and then you'll see when I talk about my weekends, that's when I do a lot of the cooking. Although I do cook throughout the week too. And at that point, my partner always helps with like different things to help with the cooking. So it's not just on me. I just do most of the planning, or I'll see what he wants to eat. And then we work together to like do the cooking if he's home. Otherwise I'll have, I do like to have food waiting for him when he gets off work, when he goes into the office. But he also works from home some of the time, and that's when he's helping me do the cooking and stuff. So it is kind of like a partnership when it comes to like the food. But I am the one who sets the menu for the week, okay? So I use Tuesday evenings because I go out on Thursdays in the morning and I do grocery shopping after my volunteer shit. So I like to have the meal plan ready to go and get my grocery list started and finished, and then I can go out later in the week and get the groceries. So that's what I do on Tuesday nights, and then I have like my relaxation from like 8:30 to bedtime, essentially. Stardew Valley, I mean, that's down there because I have a friend that I play with sometimes. It's not like all the time. It's not every Tuesday. Wednesday, because I have an evening class, I have reserved that time to prep for class. If I have like an assignment or something, or if I need to do some reading and stuff, it's a comic class. It's an intro to comics nonfiction course that I'm taking to learn how to better write stories and tell stories, and I'm hoping to get like some inspiration on how to improve my composition and stuff. So it's just like, I'm not getting credit for it or anything. It is at a community college. I could have gotten credit, I guess, if I wanted, but I didn't feel like applying or anything, I'm just doing this for myself to better my craft. And I usually will take the bus because I don't like to drive. I don't like to leave my car on the street at night, even though it isn't like it is a busy area. Like there were people playing like sports ball whenever I got out of class and was waiting for the bus, but I don't know, I don't like to drive and find a parking space and shit. So a lot of times I'll take the bus and I'll do like reading and stuff, but I have the afternoon after lunch reserved because I had to leave it at about 4:20 something, 4:30. The other reason why I often take the bus is because traffic is so heavy at that time that I only get like an extra 20 minutes to get there on time. Like I could leave at like 4:50 and I really don't think it's worth my time. Yeah, I mean, I find taking the bus relaxing and I do other things on the bus when I'm traveling. So I don't really mind the travel time because I'm multitasking, I guess. But yeah, in the evening I have class and then travel, and then Brad will do like the dishes that night. Thursdays, my entire morning is usually eaten up by like some volunteer work that I do. So after my zombie hour, I get out of the house pretty quickly. I do what I do, and then I swing by the grocery store because, one, my car is already out. I do take the bus sometimes to get groceries, but if I have a lot of groceries, that's a hassle because it gets really heavy. So I'd rather, if I have the car out anyway, I'd rather just stop by the grocery store while I'm out. I get my groceries, I come home, I eat lunch, and that's when I start working on like my flatting and uploading to mirrors and stuff like that. Sometimes I'll upload to mirrors like in the morning too. It just depends on how I feel and what I want to get done and what I want to be prepared for. But Thursday is when I get on the computer. I'm trying to reduce the amount of time I'm on the computer because of my wrists. I don't really... Like, sometimes I get like a pain in like my hand, in my thumb, and in the back of my hand. And I've talked a little bit about it to the doctor, but they don't, I mean, it's not like severe enough at this point to like do anything. So what I've been doing instead is reducing my computer time so that I'm not like hurting my hands because they are extremely valuable to me. So I'm doing what I can to take care of my hands. And part of that is I have a standing desk now, thanks to my patrons. So I saved up all my money from Patreon and was able to get a standing desk. So it's kind of moving things around and like alternating between standing at the desk and sitting and working on like the ergonomics to make sure that I'm more comfortable. But Thursday, for that reason, is a flatting day. I continue flatting at night because we do have game night on Thursdays, which is with our friends from back home that we don't see anymore. Some of our friends, I should say. So we have like a Pathfinder night that we're playing games, and since it's not always my turn, and sometimes it takes time, everyone's arguing over the order of events and shit like that, I'm just like, okay, I can work on flatting while this shit's going on, you know? Because I'm really just there. I'm just like the healer and like the tank. I'm a tank. I'm not the main tank, but I'm a healer and a tank, so I just kind of sit back and wait until I'm needed to do shit, you know? Fridays are more computer days, project management, kind of touching base on what I have left, continuing education, or catch up. More often than not, I'm using Friday as a catch up time to work on flats, but I do other stuff too. I work on video stuff at that point. And then Friday night, I have reserved a large chunk of time on Friday night as like weekend leisure time. Because again, it's important to me, at least for my mental health, to make sure that I have times that I'm not turned on, that I have times that I'm doing fun things. Not that I don't consider my work fun, but switching it up and doing other things that don't have like a deadline or a responsibility is relaxing to me. And again, that's not like a major revelation, but it's important. And I think a lot of times people overlook that. Saturday is kind of a mashup. It's like infrequent cleaning. It's infrequent household stuff. You know, like sweeping and mopping, that kind of shit. I do keep the counters and stuff wiped down at random times throughout the week too, but that's when I'm paying more attention to it. And also we do different things on Saturdays. That's not scheduled. That's leisure time. We're going out, we're doing things. I went to a rally this past Saturday. Or like we've got walks or dining out. We'll go out to eat on like the weekend, and it'll either be Saturday or Sunday. So that kind of stuff we don't have scheduled because it doesn't need to be scheduled, okay? Sunday is a day that I force myself to socialize with people because I'm a weird combination of both loving social interaction, loving people, and I'm also very misanthropic. It's very hard to balance these things out. I know I don't come off that way, but I'm just constantly disappointed by like how easy it is for people to not give a shit about anyone else and just do things that hurt each other, hurt each other's feelings, hurt each other in other ways. So I have like this thing, and I quite often just want to recede from interacting with anyone online or in person. But I know that from personal experience, that also is bad for my mental health. So I try to strike a balance by having like good friends that I met through a women's walking group. I will go on a Sunday walk a couple times a month. Sometimes I don't go, but I do that because it reminds me that overall most people that I know are good, and none of us, including myself, are perfect, and I do things that hurt people's feelings too, you know? So don't think that this is me being all holier than thou. That's not what I am saying, and I'm sick of everybody taking like the most bad faith read of any statement that anyone makes. It's so frustrating. That's the type of disappointing thing that I get so incredibly tired of dealing with people, because it's just exhausting. You know what I mean? It's like, when did we get that way? Oh, I know. Anyway, we won't go into that, but I like to do that because I get exercise, I get socialization. If I'm up for it, I'll eat lunch with them. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. It just depends on where they're going and who's in the group that day. But I like to see, I think it's really important that we don't lose touch with like physical interaction, in-person interaction with people. Actually, to be quite honest, I have less problem with in-person interactions than I do with online interactions, because there's so much that gets missed when you're trying to type shit. And because when you're in person, people can pick up on your facial expressions, they can pick up on your intonations, they can see when you're smiling about something and saying it in a joking manner. And there's, in my experience, for the most part, it's less ambiguous what I mean when I'm in person. And also the shit that's online gets used and misconstrued and perverted and warped into something that you're not saying. So I really just get frustrated with it. And anymore, I definitely think it's important to have your online friends. I don't know, maybe I'm just broken, apparently. And that's fine. I'm okay with it. I like my brokenness. I'm good with it. But so that's my morning thing. And then like the afternoon on Sundays is prepping time, when I do the majority of the major steps of cooking, where I'm making seitan. If I've soaked beans, I'll be making the beans. I also do that throughout the week because you really don't have to keep an eye on it. But like, I'll be making like most of the meals, and then I'll cook another meal throughout the week. Or if we run out of shit, I cook like something easy during the week. So that's Sunday. And then we have like different things that aren't like scheduled on my routine that are other socializing things. Like in December, we had a bunch of friends over for a holiday dinner. Now in January, I'm going over to some other friend's house for a dinner. We have like random walks, or I think sometime in March, I'm probably going to go snowshoeing or some shit. I'm going to break my neck, I'm sure. I don't know. I've never done it before. But yeah, there's things that I don't schedule on here. Sometime in March, Brad and I are going to go to like the art museum so I can check out the psychedelic 60s posters that are on display there. So yeah, there's things that I don't schedule. And I'm keeping in my mind that it's okay if I break the schedule. There are special instances where I am going to have to depart from it, and that's going to be okay. I just pick up the next day with what the schedule is. Or if the whole week goes askew, just pick it up on the following week and try it again, or get back on track. I think like holding yourself to like strict rules is a recipe for disaster, because you can't account for like all the things that happen like in real life, or all the things that happen that are going to interfere with what you're doing. So be flexible. Be flexible is my modus operandi in starting the schedule. I'm going to try to follow it, and when I get off, it's okay. Well, it's always okay. Okay, I'm so sorry. When I get off the schedule, it's okay. It's not a big deal. You just get back on it. So yeah, that's what I had to say about trying to organize myself and give myself a little more structure. I am very fully aware, I should have said this at the beginning of the video, I am fully aware that there are tons of people out there who do not like a schedule. If you are that type of person, don't feel like this is me pressuring you to do something that you don't want to do. Know yourself, know what works for you, and don't jump on a bandwagon that you know is going to drive yourself crazy. This is just me talking about myself and giving advice for people who have a similar personality type to me and need more structure, because yeah, we exist too. If it doesn't apply, then let it fly, is what I'm saying. Okay, my next video is going to be on February 5th. I'm not sure the topic of it yet. At some point this year, I am also going to be finding an independent comic artist that I want to interview. I took a poll on the community tab, and the people who voted all voted yes, and nobody voted no. So I'm gonna give that a go, but it's not gonna be like something that I do like all the time on a regular basis. And I am not really sure how I'm going to do it yet, or how I'm going to approach interviewing someone. I'm thinking about doing it like over Discord or something so that there can be video, unless that person doesn't feel comfortable with video. I don't know who it is. I'm just letting you know that at some point there is going to be an independent artist interview, and I will plan on doing a couple of them at some point. I'm not sure how many. I'm going to trial run it, see how I like it, see if people like it, and just kind of go from there. But I think that's all I want to say in this video. Until next time, peace and love, fare you well, and keep on trucking.